happening, you have a bias, right? You have a bias that's actually flooding down your ability to make an intelligent opinion. Where you have a bias. You don't want there to be a creator. You would prefer there not be one. You want to be your own God. You want to have your own code of ethics, right? Because if there's moral accountability in the metaphysical realm, all this depravity just got real serious.
I like to use my own morals because I mean, there's a lot of things in the Bible.
My friend, you're more. Okay, but do you agree that there's right and wrong?
It's subjective.
You don't need a God.
It's subjective. Okay, so if is raping someone wrong?
So what if there's a creator?
Created
it and left it alone.
Okay, is raping someone wrong?
Yeah, so why did God tell those?
Okay, so the people that get off on it, it's not, since they don't think it's wrong, then rape isn't wrong. What an idiotic ideology.
Can I say what I said? So there are females who get off on that. Is it wrong for them to get off on that?
Yeah, it's actually typically coming from abuse, right? So they have psychological disorders due to abuse at a young age. And the fact of the matter is, everyone knows that rape is wrong. Taking someone against their will and forcing them to have sex with you is objectively wrong. But in order to hold your worldview, you have to say it's not wrong, it's subjective. And if someone doesn't think it's wrong, then it's okay.
If I go with the Bible, if I rape someone, I can just buy them and marry them, and it's okay.
No, who said that? Who in the world said that?
The Bible.
Not only
the Bible doesn't say that. The Bible doesn't say that.
Not only that.
No, it doesn't.
Not only that, but didn't God? You
guys don't even know what you're talking. You guys are so ignorant about everything. It's baffling. Have you read the Hebrew and actually read what it says, or do you guys just read Google, regurgitate what the Bible says, so you can justify your depravity within the materialistic confinement of your dumb worldview?
Hold on. Didn't
you read the Torah? Okay, the Torah doesn't say you can rape anyone. You know what it says? If you take someone against their will, you should be killed. Oh, it looks like you forgot to actually read the Torah then, because if you rape someone, then you get killed.
Not when everyone's talking.
Can I actually have a word?
Well, then stop lying about the scriptures, dude.
No, didn't God actually condone a rape in Sodom?
Condone a rape in Sodom?
Yeah, he actually gave the girls to the strangers, didn't he? And said you can lie with them.
No, that's not what happened. Yeah, looks like you once again don't know how to read. What a shocker.
Not only that,
actually what happened was the angels went
interrupting me with
you're just lying about the scriptures though. By the way, Yeshua's coming back and he's not very happy, and you're big and tough on the earth, my man. You might want to get right with me because you're gonna die, dude.
WITSIT, stop it. Right.
Well, you guys are scared of the fact that you have a soul, and I'm trying to wake you up.
Let him respond, WITSIT. Come on, mate.
Right, and I object to you. I object to you characterizing me as someone who
sunken in depravity.
I object to you characterizing me as someone who wants there to be no God. That's not true. I don't care whether there's a God or not a God. If there is a God, fine. That's okay by me. All I want is some evidence.
Okay, so here's the problem. You can't even come up with a viable alternative. So what that means is that we observe existence, okay? We have things that can't be explained within materialistic confinement, like intuition, astral projection, dreams, memories. These are literally beyond the materialistic confinement, okay? Right now, the only viable option to explain the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence being throughout all of creation, the fact that we have a creation, the fact that we have something beyond the materialistic confinement, is that there was a creator. You don't even have a viable alternative yet, and yet you want to act like people are crazy for knowing that it had to be created. No, the weak argument is you don't even know what you are even proposing yet. You appeal to incredulity for your worldview. It's disgusting.
Right. The viable alternative, the alternative that we have is a hell of a lot more viable than, a God did it.
Oh, no, here's the deal, my man. I know the creator's real. You have no idea about any of it. You don't even have a viable alternative. You have to bend and twist and lie about what the scriptures say. The creation is the evidence. You moron. That's why I said you have to have a viable alternative.
I beg your pardon. There's no need.
Is that a circular reference?
There's no
you have a viable alternative.
Yes, it is. It is in fact a precipice.
That's a circular reference.
Alternative. Right? Is it? Do you have a viable alternative yet?
So the alternative that we have is a lot more viable than a God made it.
What's the alternative? Yeah,
Big Bang,
exactly.
evolution.
Oh, okay, the Big Bang. The Big Bang. That's your alternative. Does everyone agree on that?
That's
One of
not
them.
a complete alternative.
That is no. There has. Okay, listen. We're talking about how things came into existence. Evolution is literally a non sequitur. I know you guys are remedial, though. Okay, so you need a viable alternative to existence. Now, someone said the Big Bang. Does everyone agree with that? To the atheists that are sunken into depravity, Big Bang is your viable alternative. Is that right?
That has a lot more scientific evidence behind it than a god, though, doesn't it?
Okay, no. Do you know what the Big Bang says?
Yeah.
What does the Big Bang say? What does the Big Bang say?
If you're claiming that the Big Bang has no scientific evidence behind it, you're just lying.
The Big Bang doesn't even try to explain existence without a creating force. You clowns, you haven't even read it. So it was actually proposed by a Jesuit priest named George Lamonte, and he said there was a.
Are you asking what created the Big Bang? Is that what you're essentially asking?
Why are you essentially interrupting me? There was a pre-existing
Because
energy.
it don't make sense.
There was a pre-existing energy. In the Big Bang Theory, there's a pre-existing energy. Pre-existing, that means before the existence, pre-existing energy. So the best quote-unquote viable alternative you have still points to a creator. What a joke.
So pre-existing doesn't
creator,
mean
so
before
what?
existence.
I'm not saying there wasn't a creator. I'm not saying there was. So what?
Like,
if
this-
there
this
was,
is dumb. This is
it's obviously
absolutely
been
dumb.
created and left alone to run its course.
And how is that any different?
No, that's not true. See, we have free will.
How is that any different than saying a god pre-existed?
That's what I'm saying, you clown show. The Big Bang doesn't even say that there wasn't a creator. You guys still don't even have a viable alternative, but you are robots. So you just utter Big Bang, and you don't even know what it says.
We don't.
WITSIT, are you one of the ones? WITSIT, would you deny the fact that you constantly say that a replacement for the ball Earth is not necessary?
Falsification.
Do you admit that you say that all the time? That replacement is not necessary.
Well, actually, what I say is falsification is independent of replacement. You haven't falsified that there's a creator, though. So that's not a good analogy, buddy. What a shocker that you guys can never hold your weight in intellectual exchange, though.
Why is that not exactly the same thing?
Because you haven't falsified that there's a creator. We falsified that the Earth is a spinning ball with a radius of 3959. Falsification is independent of replacement. You haven't falsified there's a creator, though. It's literally not analogous at all.
You haven't.
Jeff.
No, you
Well, what do you mean by a creator?
What do you mean? What do I mean by a creator? It's
Do you mean
self-explanatory.
God, as in the Bible?
Well, I happen to know the scriptures are true, and God is not his name, and God's a Babylonian deity. But the point is that you guys are quote-unquote atheists, which those don't even actually exist. But the point is, yeah, most of you guys are atheists.
The point is,
that's your opinion.
The point is what?
No, that's a fact. I've been in here numerous times. Most of the people in here are atheists, sunken into depravity. They promote sodomy. They promote rape. They promote murdering babies. They promote doing whatever they want to. They promote being having a subjective moral code.
For fuck's sake.
Guys, you realize that murdering babies isn't good. You guys realize
shut
that
up,
rape.
mate. Shut up.
Okay.
That's just a ridiculous point.
I'm sorry that you guys just don't care about the facts here.
It's that when other people start talking, you don't start. Okay.
Do you agree that your side to have to show the same respect?
What I was about to say, WITSIT, was you haven't falsified anything. Not only that, but what criteria do you use to know that you are true, that you are correct?
That there's a creator? Well, I've already explained it to you again, but maybe you'll pull your crayons out this time. Oh, now you okay? Go ahead, interrupt me.
Yeah, I'm clarifying. That's exactly right. I want you to know what criteria do you use to know that you're correct, that there is a creator.
Okay, this is where you interrupt me, and then you complain about me talking over you. So the necessary wow. The necessary antecedent to creation is a creator. Now, we don't have a viable alternative to this. One's not even been postulated theoretically with the imagination of men combined. We haven't even come up with another way that things could exist, right? The Big Bang says there's a pre-existing energy. We have something called the Fibonacci sequence. It is throughout all of creation. This ties us all together. In addition, and guess what, guys? The Earth is geocentric, which means stationary in the center of everything. Hey, if the Earth is the center of everything, didn't it have to be placed there?
No.
So
Well,
the
it
Earth could
is.
be
What do you
geocentric
mean
and there
if
could
it is?
still be no creator?
Why not?
Okay, so you explain to me how. Explain to me how the Earth could be geocentric and not be created.
Read the logical steps that say that just because the Earth is the center, there must be a creator.
Yeah, dude. If the Earth is the center of everything that exists, it was placed there.
No,
No.
not
No,
necessarily.
Can you explain how not?
That's a non.
Well, if the physics worked, it works.
The physics
But
of
it
what?
doesn't. But if the physics did work to do such a thing, why would it need a creator?
Dude, it had to be put into existence.
No, that's
No.
what you're saying. Just because you're
You're
saying it doesn't
explaining.
make it right.
You're just
Yeah, listen, man. If the Earth is the center of everything that exists, it had to be put there.
Why?
Claiming that
Because it's the center of everything that exists.
That doesn't mean anything. There's no connection between.
So
those
you're
two
saying it
things.
randomly became the center of everything that exists?
Well,
Could
it
have been
isn't that. But if it was,
Yes, it objectively is that.
no, it's not.
Objectively, it is that. And NASA admits
No.
that there's actually an equal dispersal relative to the centralized location of the Earth, but it's just a coincidence, and that they can't acknowledge it. And then your little one of your priests, Hubble, says, "Oh, well, we have to ignore this possibility at all costs, even though clearly it will never be disproven." Right? So actually, NASA knows that based on the radiation background test, that there's actually a centralized location of the Earth being the center of all even dispersal relative to it. But they say, no, this just me an optical effect. This can't be real, because if that's real, then there's a creator. They call it the axis of evil, right? Okay,
No,
so
no.
yeah, the necessary antecedent to creation is a creator. If it's geocentric, meaning the center of everything, it had to be placed there. Oh, you're not your own god.
You can go and make a fool of yourself in Washington D.C., but don't come here and talk that sort of nonsense.
Yeah, and we.
Is that kind of nonsense? I'm my own god.
I'd like to say something,
Yeah.
Witsit. Now, if you're in the center of the Pacific Ocean and you can only see a radius of about 5 miles around you, doesn't that give you the impression that you're in the center of that ocean? Even though
Okay, so what? So you're appealing to incredulity.
I'm not fucking finished.
Look, the atheist is mad. What a shocker.
I'm not finished. Stop, Witsit.
Oh, the atheist doesn't have self-control. I'm so surprised.
Finished, Witsit. Fucking hell, right? You're a rude cunt, aren't you? Right? So
Says
I
not
might
screaming
not-
cuss words.
might not be in the center of the Pacific Ocean, though, might I? I might be only, say, 10 miles offshore, and I can still only
Okay, so you're appealing to incredulity.
still only see 5 miles around me, and I still think that I'm in the center of the ocean, but I'm not.
Okay, so you're appealing to incredulity then.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. You're saying that if we were in the middle of an ocean, if we looked like we were in the middle of the ocean, now you're interrupting me.
Yeah, I am.
So it's okay when y'all interrupt, though. Because you're atheists, you make up your own rules, of course. What am I thinking? Okay, so
Actually, Alfred and I leave the
you're
whole
supposed.
line with it.
Yeah, there you go. Interrupt. Yeah, your supposed
Yeah, you get
analogy is if we're in the. Yeah, please make sure you interrupt again. His analogy is supposedly that we're in the ocean and it would look like we're in the middle because we can't see too far out. It's the same thing as the Earth. We're talking about the Earth, so you're trying to use that as an analogy for the Earth, which means objectively you're appealing to incredulity, limited information. You're appealing to incredulity.
That's not what incredulity is.
Yes, it is.
Not. You might need to look up the definition of incredulity, Witsit.
He really does.
Yeah, you're appealing to incredulity that we don't know the answer, that we don't have all the information available to know the answer. So you appeal to
That's
incredulity.
not what he's doing. Witsit.
It is what he's doing.
It is, Witsit.
That's not what he's doing. Witsit. Calm down.
That's not
Objectively,
incredulity,
is what he's
Jamal.
doing.
No, it's not, Witsit. That's not what incredulity is, Witsit.
What is it then?
Posted the definition for you. There it
Not
is.
believing something because you think it's not believable.
Yeah, you think it's difficult to imagine that maybe that the Earth's the center of everything. That's not my problem.
What my argument was, though.
Yeah, appeal to incredulity. You're basically appealing to
No.
something being difficult to imagine or
I
us
think
having
Paul
limited
knows his
information.
argument better than you do.
No.
Witsit, listen to him.
My argument is that we may think that we're in the center because we can only see so far. But we don't know whether we're close to one edge or not because we can only see so far.
Okay, so you agree that based on the evidence we do have, that it shows that we're at the center?
Gives us the impression that we're at the center, but that doesn't mean that we are at the center.
Okay, so you agree that all empirical evidence shows that we are at the center. You just blindly believe that's not the case anyway.
put wrong words in my mouth. That's not
You just
what
now
I
said that.
It's not what I said at all. I said it gives us the impression that we're at the center, but we may not be at the center.
Right. So you're appealing to incredulity.
No, I'm not.
We may not be. We may not be.
That's not what incredulity is, WITSIT.
Hey, man. What you're doing
Go and
is just
learn
saying
what
that all
incredulity
empirical
is.
evidence shows us one thing, but that isn't the case just because you want to believe antithetical to the empirical evidence. That is
He didn't
dumb.
say that.
That is what he's saying.
Not
He
what
just now admitted
No, that's
under his
not what
own
he said at
admission.
all.
Under his
You're
own
not-
admission.
You're literally
it's-
not listening, dude. Come on.
Yes, I literally am.
This
Under
is
his
like-
own
this is
admission.
very dishonest.
Shut the
Come on.
hell up. I'm still talking, you little gamma.
No,
According to his
shut the
own
hell up.
admission.
Literally just did.
Let's control yourself.
Every time. Every
Everybody
single
else
time.
too. Everybody else too, but WITSIT especially. Stop starting fires to complain about WITSIT.
Dude, I'm just in the middle of a sentence getting interrupted every single fucking time, Curved.
Same thing that you do to everybody else, WITSIT.
That's not true.
Everybody,
When someone shows
everybody,
me-
settle down.
When someone shows
Don't
me the respect.
overtalk me.
Try more,
WITSIT.
bro.
When someone shows me the respect to let me finish, I let them finish every single time. But
Yep,
no one
earn
ever does it to
respect,
me.
you retard.
So,
WITSIT, you
That's a
come
lie.
in over talking people. Give it a rest.
it's not true. I sat in here for 5 minutes waiting for the conversation to end. So anyway, according to his own admission, all the empirical evidence shows us that the Earth is the center, but it just may
Hang-
not
Hang
be.
tight a second. WITSIT. I heard you when you first came into the room here a little while ago. You entered by over talking Paul, who was already speaking about something, and you came in with what you wanted to talk about, giving no regard for what Paul was already in the middle of saying.
That's not true. Paul and Lemon were talking. I sat
Absolutely
back.
True.
No, Lemon and him were talking. I sat back for 5 minutes and listened.
The recording, WITSIT.
I know
don't
it is.
lie.
That's why I know. You're constantly recorded being a liar, Curve. Trust me, I know. So let's get back to now that you guys know that I won the argument and you're trying to run away. I won the debate, so you're trying to run away. I won the debate, so you're trying to run away.
You're going.
Yeah.
I'm going nowhere. You're going to calm down.
Calm. So what he just said in his own admission was that it looks like it's the center, but it may not be. Do you guys agree with that?
Not incredulity.
Okay,
It's just
so
like-
you okay. So
You're
you
both
guys
Right now,
admit,
nobody but Paul is going to speak. Paul, please make your point clear.
My point is, like in my analogy, that you could be in the Pacific Ocean somewhere and only see 5 miles around you. That gives you the impression that you're at the center of the ocean, but you may only be 20 miles offshore, right? Same thing. We can only see so far. Same thing. We can only see so far in the universe. That gives us the impression that we may be at the center of the universe. That doesn't, however, lead to the conclusion that we are at the center of the universe.
okay, well the problem with that analogy is that what actually proves that we're at the center is the even dispersal. Okay, so it is not how far we can see, it's what's happening in what we see. It's the dispersal, dude. So it's literally not analogous at all to being in an ocean because it's about the even dispersal centralized to the Earth. In addition, the background radiation test showed that the quote-unquote galaxies line up perfectly over what we call the arbitrary line of the equator, which, by the way, they had to call it the axis of evil. Hubble, right? Hubble telescope, you guys have heard of it, named after Edwin Hubble. He says that it will never be disproven that the Earth is geocentric. We must though, so because it would and we don't want to acknowledge that. That's his own words. Okay, so the truth of the matter is that based on all empirical evidence that we have attainable and center of everything, you have to blindly believe it isn't, though. You have to believe it's the opposite of what all the evidence says and appeal to just ambiguity.
Right. So I can conclude then that the even dispersal, the homogeneous dispersal of the water around me in the ocean shows that I'm at the center of the ocean, and the plane of the water being horizontal to me shows that I'm in the center. Same argument as what you're saying here. It doesn't follow that I am at the center. Same thing. The evidence of the even distribution around us doesn't follow we are in the center.
Wrong. The ocean doesn't have a supposed black hole in the middle of it where everything is dispersing relative to that. Is it? Is it the same thing?
The universe
No, it's not irrelevant because the dispersal rate is directly relevant to the conversation, and the ocean is not analogous.
It's very analogous.
It's literally not.
Neither does the universe have a black hole in the center of it.
Yeah, we know. Black holes are stupid and fake. Your fairy tale's fake.
You just strawmanned us, WITSIT.
Your fairy tale isn't real. And you guys haven't even been honest enough to admit that it's possible it's not real.
Hey, why don't you try something here? Just for like a few minutes. Argue honestly.
I am. So, according to you guys, we're crazy because you know for a fact that the Earth isn't geocentric. But then when we boil it down, you have to admit, well, yeah, all evidence shows us that it looks like it's possible that we're not. So which one is it? It's possible, or you know for a fact it's not geocentric? Which one is it?
All right. So if you think this is arguing honestly,
yeah, you can't answer.
I'm going to bow out and let everybody else play with you, but you still have to behave yourself, WITSIT.
According to you guys, you know for a fact that the Earth's not geocentric. But then when we hone in on the subject and we say, well, look, all the evidence shows that it actually is, you say, well, yeah, but that's just all the evidence we can see. It just looks like that, but it's actually not. It could be some other way. Could be ambiguity, right? Theoretically, it could be something other than the center. So is it that you know for a fact it's not the center, or that it could be not the center? Which one is it?
Wrong thing that you said was that all the evidence shows that the Earth is geocentric, and that's not true. Yes,
it is.
We actually have evidence to show that the Earth is not geocentric.
Like what?
Like the fact that we can plot an orbit around the sun,
assuming that it isn't the center.
How about this? How about tracing out the paths the other planets take? They don't.
Yeah. Presupposing a heliocentric model.
No, not presupposing. Just listen. When you actually trace out the paths they take in the sky, it's not a circle around the Earth.
Hey, my friend, actually, whenever you
backwards in the sky at points in time, because
they're a little bit
around the Earth.
They're a little bit lower, and they all go east to west and reset with the rest of the stars. So that's a lie. You're just lying. And you know what we don't see when we observe the movement of the planets in the sky? We don't see them going around the sun. You have to say that it is going around the sun, though, because you have to presuppose the heliocentric model, reify it, reaffirm your bias, and then say, look, we know because my theory has got to be true. It's dumb.
Well, it's your lie, because they don't reset with the stars. They have their individual paths. It's been known for a long time that the planets don't follow the same path as the stars.
I didn't say they did. That's a straw man fallacy.
Again, I'm not finished. Why did you feel as if you needed to interrupt me?
You straw manned me.
It's been shown by collected data that they don't reset.
Oh, so do the planets go east to west? Debate over.
And then
wow.
Claiming
you guys get dismantled every day and you never ever come to your senses.
Let him fucking talk, dickhead.
Oh, you're mad that the Earth's not a spinning tiny speck of dust.
I'm mad at your behavior, WITSIT. Be better.
No, you're mad that the Earth's not a tiny speck of dust and you can't make up your own world.
Go ahead, Paul. Finish your point, please.
We know that the planets don't reset. They don't reset. Centuries of collected data show that the orbits are around the sun, not around the Earth, and that they don't reset like you claim they are. You strawmanned us with that claim.
And we can see the entire orbit of Venus through its entire annual circle.
Does it go east to west?
Around. It goes in the same direction as all the other planets, yeah.
And the other stars, right?
At different rates.
But does it go east to west?
Yeah.
Yeah, due to Earth's rotation.
Okay, so every single thing goes east to west, and it comes back around and does it again, and does it again, and does it again. Every single light in the sky goes east to west. We see the sun move throughout the sky, then not be visible anymore, then come back up. You say that those planets are revolving around the sun, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just say it. You just say it.
Again, that's a straw man.
It's been
measured. It's been calculated, assuming the heliocentric model.
And again, that's
no,
straw man.
The
Again, that's
heliocentric was not assumed. The heliocentric was not assumed. It was observed.
and again, that's
It was
straw
not
man.
observed. That is patently
Again,
false.
I'm talking WITSIT, for fuck's sake.
Well, you guys
Again-
don't get to tag team me, bro. Sorry about it.
Well, I have a chance to talk, don't I?
Oh, one of you go at one time.
Again, you're straw manning us with claiming that everything goes east to west. That's not true.
Oh, so all the planets and the stars don't go east to west?
They don't. Venus.
Okay, what
WITSIT,
direction do they go?
Venus and Uranus are retrograde. They don't go in the same direction as the other planets. They go the other way.
Oh, they go west to east?
Exactly. So that shoots down your claim that everything goes in the same direction.
You actually believe that? Wow.
It's not
What
a belief, you
crap.
fucktard.
I thought you had a PhD.
I've done observations to this.
So have
It's
I.
been a while, which is why I had to check which ones are prograde or retrograde.
Okay, retrograde, it just has a little bit of a different motion, but what you're claiming is happening is by reifying the heliocentric model, then calculating
What does
it.
retrograde mean?
Oh, the truth of the matter is that actually all of them go east to west. Do I need to cite this for you?
I just told you, Venus and Uranus do not.
In our sky, perceivably, they do. You just say they don't.
Does anybody else want to contest that? Like, aside WITSIT? Pretty sure nobody's going to do that, so, okay.
Well,
There's a whole bunch of globezilla atheists in here. You guys all circle jerk in your fairy tales.
WITSIT, you're a lying piece of shit. That's what you just proved
Says
right
the guy
now.
who claims that wandering stars that
You
are never
a lying
static.
piece of shit. Okay?
Says the guy who says that the wandering stars that are never static and they're just orbs of light are actually
I never
solid
talked about
spherical
stars.
terra
I'm talking
firma,
specifically
are actually-
about these two planets and their orbital
No, the
motion.
planets are wandering stars. That's what the word planet means, wanderer, okay? And so you say that the wandering
Well, I
stars
don't refer
are...
to wandering star. You can go ahead and call them that if you want.
Well, that's what, no, when you call them a planet, that's what you're calling them.
To be clear, I think he was talking about the motion that we observe of the planet on the Earth.
That's exactly
He wasn't talking about. He wasn't talking about as observed from Venus, right? What's it?
This is correct.
Due to Earth rotation.
Well, that's what you have to assume, yeah. And dude, I was trying to have an honest conversation where we could get a middle ground, where you can at least
Since when the
concede.
fuck have you ever come in to have an honest conversation?
I did that today.
Remind me what day of the week that was. Was it a Tuesday?
It was today, right? Because what I did was, oh, no, I guess it's your turn. Go ahead.
And because we can see that in part of the motion of the planets, that sometimes they do go the other way in the sky. They appear to go backwards.
Oh, they appear to, but they actually all go east to west.
No, that's not the case. He's explaining.
They
it to
all
you.
move in the same direction.
How do you know they go east to west, WITSIT?
Because they come back around and reset.
They appear. Do they appear to go backwards at some stage in their?
Yeah, the Wanderers have a little bit of a different movement, but they all
Listen,
move
can I
together
clarify?
in the overall cycle.
In this case, the prograde motion means those two planets, their orbital motion is opposite of the sun's rotation. It's not an apparent. It is actually going the other way.
You have to assume that the sun is actually the center of everything. So here's my point for you guys. Do you guys at least concede it's
What is that supposed to mean?
Wow, dude, calm down, bud.
It's not an assumption.
Yes,
you
it
make
is,
observation
dude.
to the planet, and you can see that's what they're doing.
No, you have to assume the Earth is spinning around the sun. Geez, you people are remedial. So would you at least
and you
admit
make the observation to the planets so you can track what their orbits are and see what direction their orbits are
presupposing and reifying, presupposing and reifying the heliocentric model? Would you guys like
No,
to?
no, WITSIT. This is actually just taking observations to planets.
I get interrupted every time. Where's Curved at now?
Why not? Oh, why? Because this is how it is for you, right?
Wait,
Okay, so I like it too.
Bucket, are you claiming that Venus orbits around the sun in the opposite direction of the Earth?
No, what I'm saying is that the Earth is the center of everything, like all empirical evidence ever shows us.
It rotates. Venus and I think it's Uranus orbit and they rotate in the opposite direction of all the other planets. Meaning that
really?
their sky
Does it come back?
Their sky would rise
Does it
in the
come
west
back around?
instead in the east.
Does it? No, we don't need you to tell me fairy tales about would happen if I'm on Venus, okay? When we're on the Earth, you know what we see? That the whole sky comes back around and resets and resets and resets.
But all the planets orbit around the sun in the same direction.
So you just have to presuppose and reify what's in contention to say that. If you don't understand those words, that's not my problem. Would you guys like to acknowledge that it is at least possible that the Earth is geocentric? So it's impossible.
No. Not with the observations we already have.
The observations that we have, the even dispersal centralized to the Earth and all of the sky resetting for all recordable history around the central point is actually directly consistent. Yes, it does. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
For a start, that's incorrect. For all observable history, we do not see the sky reset like you claim. That is a lie.
Prove it. How's it a lie?
You prove that it resets because
okay, go look at any recording of the sky.
Because I'm not finished. Because almanacs of recorded observations over the centuries show this to not be the case, Witsit.
Also, there are things like comets. The comets don't go around the Earth, do they?
Comets don't prove the Earth's a spinning tiny speck of dust. You don't even know what a comet is.
It does not fit with your geocentric model where the Earth is in the middle.
Well, according to your religion, all of the planets. According to your religion, all of the stars and the planets appear to move east to west on a nightly basis.
Who tell what the comet is on the flat Earth?
That's not true.
I don't make claims of things I can't verify.
Oh, so they're just magic?
Witsit, that's not true.
Unknowable magic?
Witsit, the fact that you claim that they always move east to west is not true. Because
I'm quoting your dumbass religion.
Finished. Right? Let me
yeah, but as soon as I let you finish and then I gotta talk, then another little gamma jumps in.
Finish. All right?
Okay, then when you get done, it's my turn to respond.
Yeah, well, you fucking wait till I'm done, you dick. All right?
So other people can jump in, yeah.
He's not a dick, he's a gamma.
Yeah.
You're the gamma. You're self-projecting. You have a little bitty pee-pee, I'm sure. Just go ahead and hurry up, please.
Shut up, Witsit. My point is that we do not see the wanderers always go east to west. That is not true.
Okay, according to your religion, so all the stars and planets appear to move.
Observations.
You interrupted me 4 words in.
You're wrong. According to actual, real, physical observations, what you're claiming is not true.
So when I think you're wrong and I step in to correct it, that's not acceptable. But whenever I speak and get 4 words out, you're allowed. You're like children.
No,
you're
like
actually a bunch of children. No, I'm not.
Wow.
I'm a man that you would never talk to like this in real life. I promise. So according to your religion, all the stars and planets. Yeah, you would get knocked out so fast, dude. You'd be out of breath walking up to me, dude. How about you get out of your seat every once in a while before acting like you're big and tough? So though all stars and planets appear to move from east to west on a nightly basis in response to the rotation of the Earth, the outer planets generally drift slowly outward relative to the stars. This is your religion I'm quoting. You clown shows. Like always, I'm right, you're wrong, you have to lie.
Why are you monkey? Right? You're not quoting it correctly because according to our actual observations, the wanderers, the planets, do not always move east to west every night.
Okay, so all the stars and planets appear. This is your religion, you idiot. So all the stars and planets appear to move from east to west. That's what your religion says.
Straw man argument.
No, this is what your religion says.
Said it like 6 times.
It's what your religion says.
And make your arguments 1 or 2 times, please.
Well, then stop acting like it's not objectively what your religion says.
I just said it was a scarecrow that you were arguing against.
Okay, it's just objectively what your stupid religion claims.
WITSIT, can I have a minute with you?
Sure.
I watched a little bit of your last live stream, well, maybe it was the second to last, and the part I caught was when you were just having a talk to whoever was listening in Washington. And you said you were talking about how the Earth is geocentric, right? And you were using you don't feel like you're spinning, and you were offering $100 to anybody who could answer how many times a day the Earth spins or whatever you were saying. And I answered in the chat, by the way, but it's okay. You can keep the $100. Anyway, so it seemed to me, I was like, I couldn't stay and listen longer, but it seemed to me you were not pushing, but you were trying to say that at the very least the Earth is geocentric, right? That's kind of the message I was getting at the time. Is that where you're going? And then with today, it seems like that's what you're kind of saying as well. But with that, is that saying that you do believe in space, or is space somehow, is the dome higher? Is there a dome? Is it higher than we thought? Is everything more local than we thought, and there is a space with other planets? Or, I mean, what is this?
Yeah, technically there's the area that you call space, but outer space is fake. And no, there's the firmament and there's an area beyond that. And so we can't verify what's going on beyond that. I just know it's not what they said it is, and it's more like a fluid-like medium. So, I mean...
So when you're talking about the other planets that are moving from east to west, right? Are they inside of the firmament, or are they on that outside area?
I'm not positive. I think the scriptures say that he embedded them in the firmament, though.
Oh. And we don't know how big the firmament is.
I don't know how big the Earth is, so I would never know that.
All right.
If they're embedded in the firmament, how do they go past each other?
Yeah, maybe they're relative to the observer. Like the Mona Lisa. I know you guys aren't open-minded enough for this conversation, so can we just move on?
But all observers see the planets in the same position.
You guys aren't open-minded enough to have this part of the conversation. Can we just move on?
So I'm going to do something that WITSIT is not capable of doing. I made a mistake. I read the Venus and Uranus, their orbital rotation about its axis is prograde. All the planets are in prograde in their orbital path. So I made a mistake. Oh well.
Thank you. I respect that, bro. So anyway, yeah, religion claims that even though it looks like that, it's not like that. Even though the even dispersal centralized of the Earth looks like the Earth's center, it's actually not. Even though it feels like we're not moving, well, it actually is. Even though it looks like the stuff in the sky is moving, it's actually relatively still and we're moving. Even though it looks like the horizon's horizontal, it's actually curved. Every single one of the core claims. Every single one of the core claims says, well, all the empirical evidence shows us this, but actually we need to blindly believe the opposite of this. I'm going to pass on that one.
Lots of cases where we are moving, but we don't feel like we're moving, right? Like I remember at Disneyland, they used to have this mission to Mars and also Future World, where the building slowly rotates, and you don't feel it moving at all. But it is rotating. It's just rotating like it takes like an hour, I think, to go around one time, and you don't feel it at all. You would never know that it's rotating unless you were looking at the walls and see that they're turning.
Right.
The same thing for all those restaurants that are in the towers. Those rotating restaurants.
Because there's no like acceleration; it goes at consistent speed, and that's what your argument is. The reason that's not analogous, though, is because that's in a building; it's in a closed system. So, how about you take the ceiling off of that roof, or you take the roof off, and then
it's not a closed system.
Hey, if you take, dude, I know your model claims it's not a closed system, and that's why you can't.
Oh, a restaurant isn't a closed system. An airplane is
in the
closed
heliocentric system, WITSIT, you acknowledge that we believe the atmosphere rotates with the Earth, right?
Actually, you say that there's something called the Coriolis effect.
The Coriolis effect is just an effect that we observe when objects move from one rotational speed to another rotation, when the angular velocity changes because of a movement across the surface.
Your model doesn't claim they move exactly together, dude. You guys don't even know your own model, and I can honestly say that I empathize with you. There are smart people in here. The only reason I come here is because I know there are some smart people in here, and I empathize with you because you're forced to hold contradictory claims, bro, and like you don't realize it. Whenever you boil down to the fact that you bring up a plane or a building, and I'm like, that's not analogous because it's close, and then you're like, well, no, the atmosphere is moving with the Earth. Well, that's the opposite of what the model claims. Actually claims something called the Coriolis effect. But if I just brought up the Coriolis, you guys would all argue that it's true. You have to hold contradictory claims simultaneously. This results in cognitive dissonance. So I can honestly say I empathize because you're utilizing your intellect for something that's a futile pursuit. I don't think that everyone in here is dumb. I literally don't. I just think that you're using your intellect to try to explain something that can't be explained. That's the only reason I come in here. Like, you can't hold contradictory claims simultaneously, dude.
What you've claimed is just shown an ignorance of what the Coriolis effect is. And I'd like to address the claim that you always throw in there. You always throw in these words of there's no empirical evidence that shows, and yet there is. There's a ton of empirical evidence that shows that the Earth's rotating. There's a ton of empirical evidence that shows that the Earth is in orbit around the sun.
No, there's not.
Really? Go ahead. Show us some.
Empirical evidence. There's a ton of empirical evidence to show that the horizon is not flat and that it doesn't.
The horizon is not flat? Oh my God, this guy's losing it.
Wow, that's what horizon means. It comes from the word horizontal.
No,
bro, you said some dumb things, but this one is up there.
Yeah, like, dude, empirical means that it's observable, replicatable, testable, falsifiable. So when you make up,
measurable,
you don't measure anything in your religion. It's all calculations, assuming severity.
So empirical things aren't measured.
Yeah, you don't measure anything to support the globe Earth model. You use calculations. Use calculations, assuming that the Earth's a ball.
Saying that.
Okay, name one time that you measured it. Did you measure the distance to Venus?
Personally, myself, but I can.
But did someone measure Venus? No, it's a calculation.
Measurement.
No, calculation and measurement aren't synonymous.
Yes, they are.
No, they're literally not. That's so remedial.
No, you're obviously remedial. Can I measure a 2-foot long piece of paper with a 1/2-foot ruler?
Say again.
Can I measure a 2-foot long piece of paper with a 1/2-foot ruler?
Yeah, you would just combine the physical measurements, but the reason that's not analogous is because you don't.
So
there you go. Cut me off. Make sure you cut me off, bro.
That'd be a calculation.
Make sure you cut me off, bro. The reason that's not analogous is you don't have physical measurement.
Wouldn't that be a calculation, WITSIT?
The reason that's not analogous is because you don't have physical measurement.
Doesn't that involve adding measurements together, which is a calculation?
Yeah, adding physical measurements that you don't have.
What? So I can't measure a 2-foot piece of paper with a 1/2-foot ruler because that.
No, that's called a straw man. I get it though. You're remedial. It's best you can do.
Because that would require me to add measurements together, which is a calculation. Therefore, I can't measure a 2-foot piece of paper with a 1/2-foot ruler. That's not a measurement.
Do you know what a straw man is? Do you know that whenever you constantly have to straw man me, it's
that's exactly analogous to a lot of the measurements that have been done, right?
No, it's not. You don't take a little 1/2-foot ruler and measure to Venus, bud. You have no physical measurements. It's a calculation.
Okay. Measure the density of something. I measure its mass, and then I measure its volume. How do you
measure the mass?
How do I find the density?
You don't measure mass. You calculate it. You don't know anything about this, so please stop. You don't measure mass. You calculate it. God, you guys, man. Look, dude.
How do I calculate it?
I get it. You're desperate to believe this is real, man, but it's not real, dude. This is why. You just want to talk. You just want to talk to yourself and reify your.
You made a claim that it's calculated. How do you calculate it?
How do I calculate what?
Mass.
Yeah, are you saying it's measured?
You're saying it's calculated. You made a claim that it's calculated, not measured.
Well, you actually made the claim that it's measured, and I said no, it's not. It's calculated.
Calculated. So how is it calculated?
How did you
with
measure
the formula?
Venus, how did you measure the mass of Venus, dude? Are you serious?
Can you explain?
Are you serious?
Can you explain to me how you calculate mass?
You divide weight by the gravitational acceleration. M equals W divided by.
That's how you get the mass of a planet.
Well, we were just talking about mass in general, man. Your mass of your planets require a whole lot of pseudoscience. Like a lot of other presupposed calculations based on reifications of the heliocentric model, assumed terra firma of sphericity, assumed distances, assumed mechanism of movement, assumed actual composition of the solar system itself, which, by the way, when applied to the bigger scales, off by 95%. It is one of the dumbest pseudoscientific trolls castles of people ever.
Bullshit.
I'm just not dumb, dude.
That's fine. Go on.
So you geniuses think we know the mass of Venus? You actually believe that?
Yeah.
But you're dumber than you sound then.
Not really.
Like you guys have to. I'm trying to see how honest anyone in this room can be. Is it possible that the Earth is geocentric?
No.
So y'all are dishonest.
It's not dishonest.
Well, so you would say Edwin Hubble's an idiot then? He was wrong.
No.
How about
Well, he said he agrees with me. He
disagree
agrees
with-
with me.
WITSIT.
How about the axis of evil
I have
results?
I have opposite opinions to plenty physicists and scientists.
So you agree that Edwin Hubble was wrong when he said that?
He made what? You're citing a quote.
Yeah.
Okay, and
You agree he was wrong. Edwin Hubble, one of the most infamous people. We actually named the Edwin Hubble telescope after him.
yes,
right.
he's fucking made mistakes. Every scientist has made mistakes.
Okay, so you agree that when he says this, he was wrong then?
But did you just do an appeal to authority, WITSIT?
No, I'm just pointing out that your own priests disagree with what you say on Discord. I'm not appealing to his authority. I think he's wrong, dude.
WITSIT, give the whole quote.
Authority.
Okay,
Give
just a
the
sec.
whole
I'll just
quote,
post it.
WITSIT.
I'll post it.
Yeah, wait a sec. What are you arguing that Hubble said? He did not say that the sun orbited the Earth, did he?
I know.
What?
I
No,
know
I
what
didn't
quote,
say
I know what
that.
quote
What-
he's citing. He's not saying the whole fucking thing. You don't.
He said that. He
missing
said that
context.
the even dispersal relative to the Earth shows that it could be a centralized location, like all of the other ancient depictions of a geocentric Earth would claim. This theory could never be disproven, but we must avoid it at all costs.
Show me your source.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you sure Hubble said that?
That's why I want
I'm
to see the
positive.
source.
I'd
Okay,
like
just
to
a
see
second.
that because that sounds
When I go get
familiar.
it, can you guys stop spamming me with questions while I'm trying to go get it? Then
And it was a religious guy, I thought, that said
Edwin
that.
Hubble said it. No, he's anti-religion. That's what he
Okay,
explains in the
alright.
quote. Yeah, he's saying that like
Oh,
if
we'll
the Earth.
see.
Okay,
We'll
he's saying
see.
if the Earth. Yeah, he's saying if the Earth has.
Can you just quit talking about it and post it?
Well, then please stop asking me questions while I go get it.
Are you
sorry, I
geniuses
thought you could walk
familiar
in,
with
chew
the
gum. My
axis of
bad.
evil results? Hey, Curved, are you familiar with the axis of evil results while WITSIT is checking?
No, go ahead and clue me in on that, Essie. I'd love to be illuminated by your knowledge.
Oh, come on. I'm sure you
Oh,
heard
come
that.
on. Give it to me.
They
Come
did
on.
the calculations and they figured that the Earth was at the center of the universe and they were so shocked. They did it again and they found the same results. Wow. How about that?
You guys want
Is
me to
that
read
really
it?
what it is?
Go ahead, WITSIT.
All right, just a sec. I mean, you guys think I just make stuff up? Is that what you have to believe Earth's a ball? So the assumption of
No,
uniformity.
I heard something very similar to that before
Don't
you asked
read
the
it with
question.
it.
I'm answering it very
Okay,
quickly.
this is from the observational.
I am answering the fucking question. You got it? Now here it is. I've heard something very similar to that from somebody else. That's why I asked for this, to see that Hubble did indeed say this. If
Fair
your
enough.
quote there is correct.
Okay, cool. So this is from the observational approach to cosmology on page 40 by Edwin Hubble. The assumption of uniformity has much to be said.
Why are you going to read it?
I'm reading
All
it.
of us can read.
Don't
I don't know if
interrupt
that's true.
him. Are you scared?
Okay. Yeah, he's scared. The assumption of uniformity has much to be said in its heliocentrism vast universe theory favor, but we would not expect to find a distribution in which the density increases with distance symmetrically in all directions. Such a condition would imply that we occupy a unique position in the universe, analogous in a sense to the ancient conception of a central Earth. The hypothesis cannot be disproved, but it is unwelcome and would be accepted only as a last resort in order to save the phenomena. Therefore, we disregard this possibility and consider the alternative, namely a distribution which thins out with distance. The unwelcome supposition of a favored location must be avoided at all costs.
Wow.
Yeah, anywhere,
And all that was said by Hubble.
anywhere in the universe you make this observation, it will appear as though you're at the center.
Yeah, that's
From
what they came up
the universe.
after.
You're just
after the
making up stories.
devastation.
No,
that's the story they came up
What about what
after the
Nick posted?
devastation.
Hey, you guys agree that he said that? We have to avoid that.
No, we don't. We don't agree with that right now.
Why
Look at
not?
what
He
Nick
just read
posted
it
at
out to you. You
37
asked for
after.
it, you
I'm
got it. What's
fucking
your
telling
problem,
you,
bro?
shut up. Look at what Nick posted at 37 after the hour.
Yeah. Okay, but the unwelcome supposition of a favored location must be avoided at all costs.
Is that what?
So that's what I said. He's afraid that we have a favored location, so we have to avoid it at all costs.
That was an Ixnay Arnie Bay, in case you missed it.
Okay, so
What did he mean by that? And why would he say that? And why are we attributing that entire quote to Hubble if Hubble only said this one part of it?
No, he didn't only say that one part. So this is all from his book. So anyway, the point here is that according to your question is why did he do this? Well, that's a good question. Why is he so scared of the fact that there might be a creator? I don't know. He's probably done a bunch of dark things. Maybe he's afraid of being held accountable, akin to a lot of people in this room.
The jury will disregard the comments stricken from the record, calls for conjecture on part of the witness.
No, I'm letting him say it. He said that the fact that the Earth is in a favored location must be avoided at all costs.
And I asked you why. There could be some rationale behind
You
that.
asked me why. You asked me to speculate a motivation for him saying that. And then when I did it, you said, oh, conjecture. You asked for conjecture.
No, you gave conjecture. I gave it more as a rhetorical question. You don't know why he said it.
Do you know why?
Did you actually read that part of the book?
No. It's what I'm interested in researching and finding out.
Yeah, it says that he's scared the Earth might be the center of everything.
No, he didn't even believe at first that he said it. Now that you showed him, he's making up excuses like they usually do.
No, I think he meant that quote because he's telling his reader to avoid the fallacy of assuming that just because something appears that way is evidence that it is that way.
No, he literally says that we have to assume it isn't that way.
Hubble.
That's what he said. Oh, yeah, was he?
Yes, he was a Christian.
So if he was a Christian, why is he so scared of the Earth being the center of everything?
Because those two things are not necessarily connected.
Yeah, but if he first of all, he wasn't.
Why are you assuming he's scared? Why do you have to put it that way? Scared.
He said avoided. He said it has to be avoided at all costs. Why would you have such a?
That's not fear. That's reason. That's logic.
Why not? Why not?
That's not logic. You don't avoid empirical evidence at all costs. That's the opposite of logic.
Exactly. Why did he want to hide the evidence, Curved?
It's not about hiding evidence. It's about understanding the evidence. And goes back to what Paul said about being in the middle of the ocean. Fuck you, SC. Wait till somebody's done, you cunt.
No, fuck you. Answer the question.
I can't hear a question that you're asking while I'm still fucking talking, bitch.
Why? Okay, so listen up then. Why did they hide the fact that they found the Earth as at the center of the universe? Answer that, Curved.
I don't see where that happened.
Really? So you haven't been listening, have you?
Can you show us?
I don't see where what you just said happened.
So you're not familiar with the axis of evil findings, are you, Curved?
I would like to. I would like to.
I already told you I wasn't. I asked for you to illuminate me, and you failed to do so.
I would just like to point out that this Nick guy,
Excuse me,
actually,
WITSIT. I was almost done, WITSIT. I was almost done. Apparently, you're too dim of a bulb to illuminate anything, SC. Go ahead, WITSIT. Cry some more.
I think it's funny that you guys all touted victory that Nick quote unquote destroyed me by actually ignoring that it's objectively all within just a few lines of each other in his own words. Because here I am, I'll link it, the actual exact document itself where he wrote it. The assumption of uniformity has much to be said in its favor. The distribution were not uniform. It would either increase with distance or decrease. But we would not expect to find distribution in which... Yeah, because you said this wasn't actually what he said. Because that's how dumb this room is.
We asked you to post it. That's all we asked you to do. We didn't ask you to read it. No one asked you to read it.
I put a link to the PDF of the full document by Hubble.
Oh, yeah, so did I. Cool.
So just for clarity,
no, you posted just that quote. I posted the entire.
No, it's sitting right there. It's sitting right there.
Nobody here has heard of the axis of evil results. Nobody. Is that what I'm to believe here?
I've heard the term. I haven't heard your conclusion from them.
It's not my conclusion. They did two results, and they found that the Earth was at the center of the universe. They did it once, they couldn't believe it.
I
and
don't
they did
believe
it
that's
again.
true.
Well, then you got to do some research, brother.
No, you need to understand what they found.
You guys can go to page 40 of that PDF file link. It has it all in there. And so if you're being honest in the conversation, you wouldn't have to try to screenshot and then say, spoiler alert, Hubble only said the part in the green, when objectively he said the entire thing that's on the meme. That's called being dishonest. And then this room goes and touts victory 0 to 100. Oh, Nick dismantled Austin again. No, you got dismantled yet again, because you guys have to lie to hold a position. The Earth's a tiny speck of dust in an ever-expanding universe of nothingness. That's what you have to do. You have to lie. The reason that we're flat earthers is we don't have to lie.
SC, just real quick, they said that everything is at the center of the universe. So
that's what they said after.
Yeah, so
that's
so
what they said after, brother. When they were caught in their bullshit.
Let me finish. Technically, then the Earth is also at the center of the universe. That's not what they just said after that. Like they didn't say like, oh, only the Earth is at the center of the universe, and then, oh no, sorry, we meant everything. No,
so why did they do it twice? Okay, why did they do it twice then, genius?
What do it twice?
They did it numerous times over the course of 20 years.
Yeah.
Yep, and it keeps on showing the same thing. They named it the axis of evil, dude.
Yep.
They named it that because it's not consistent with the assumption that the Earth isn't the center. That's why they called it the axis of evil.
Devastating to your fantasy.
You guys are literally on
victory. That's why.
Yeah, so everything.
No, you guys are victims to it, but we want you to realize.
I was talking, man. So everything being at the center of the universe, what does it mean? How is Earth so special? If everything is at the center of the universe.
You got it all wrong. Here's the deal. Let me explain it to this guy. He'll have to interrupt, though. See, based on the actual observations that they then coined the axis of evil, and it shows even distribution away from the Earth being the center, the only way that it could not be the center is if you said, oh, it's just an optical effect, and no matter where you were in the universe, it would look like that. Just trust me. It's what you have to say to even theoretically postulate it.
Now you're getting it.
How can everything be at the center if I'm at the center?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's dumb.
The point is, they have no freaking clue where we are in the universe, what we're doing in the universe. It's all conjecture. Comprende?
Objectively. And if you guys think we're dumb for not believing in the globe Earth, you wouldn't have to lie. You would absorb your position with honesty. This should be a red flag to anyone that is honest in this conversation.
But you're not. But what's it? You're not honest about all the obvious debunks of the globe Earth, right? Like we were mentioning the angles of the satellite, the angles of satellite dishes pointing to geostationary satellites.
You just had a Freudian slip. You said, Austin, you're not even honest about all the obvious debunks of the globe Earth. Yeah, I'm honest about all of them, actually. That's why I'm a flat earther. Yeah, the angle says satellite. I dismantled it. I said, how do you verify the location?
You didn't dismantle it. You didn't dismantle it. You said there's multiple satellites, in which case you should be able to pick up multiple signal sources.
You're spiraling, dude, because I asked you
how is that an explanation? Multiple satellite dishes. Multiple. You said multiple balloons, right?
No, actually, what happened was you said, look, you said this is impossible on a flat Earth, and then you showed angles going back to where they're receiving the signal from a certain satellite, and then I said, okay, how do you verify exactly where you're receiving the signal from? And then you said that doesn't matter. You don't even need to know where you're receiving the signal from. When objectively, intrinsic in your own claim is the very location of where you're receiving the signal from to say it's impossible on a flat Earth. And then when asked how do you verify where you receive the signal from, you said,
okay, Jake can
that
handle
doesn't matter.
Jake can handle that. Jake, give him the actual answer to that. Not that it doesn't matter. How do you do that?
Well, what we're talking about is what direction are the dishes pointed at? What's it?
Yeah, see, so he can't handle it, Curves.
And the problem is the dishes are pointing at different directions on the flat Earth.
You verify it by pointing at the goddamn satellite and getting the signal. Only when you point it at the satellite. And then you compare all of the different trajectories, angles from the various locations to the same fucking satellite. That's how you verify it. Now grow up and be a goddamn adult, WITSIT.
So yeah, you receive a signal, you assume that it's coming from where they told you the data was coming from, and then you
There's
also
no
assume an
fucking
altitude.
assumption. You get it or you don't. If you get it, you're pointed at it.
You guys see how only one side gets really in their feelings, has to spiral and freak out and lie.
Okay, but address the argument. What's it?
No one's spiraling. No one's freaking out. You're being a cunt.
Address the argument, WITSIT. You acknowledge the satellite only the satellite receiver only picks up the signal when the satellite dish is accurately pointed to a certain spot in the sky. And when we look at the angles, the various angles at different locations on the Earth, it cannot work on a flat Earth like my pictures demonstrated to you yesterday. I can repost it again if you want. But it's completely pointing to the dish at different locations if we assume we're on a flat Earth. Which would mean the only explanation would then require there to be multiple satellites or multiple signal sources. You would need multiple signal sources to cover all those different angles, in which case there would be situations when you're in between where you would easily pick up multiple points of that signal.
Okay, so this is where you guys will interrupt me again. So yesterday when we were having this conversation, you admitted that you don't actually in any way have a way to verify where it is that you're receiving the signal from. It's just this particular type of signal that has a certain signature, right? Well, what they do is they relay the signals from thing to thing to thing, whether that be tower or other high altitude satellites. They relay the same signatured signal, and then it goes in the continuous direction towards where you're going to pick it up. Okay, you have to send it in the general direction of where it is that it's being relayed from, and of course you're not going to receive it until you get to the closer one that relays it. So you haven't verified the altitude or where the signal's coming from, but your entire argument is dependent upon the accuracy of the altitude and the location of where the signal's being sent from. It's that dumb. So that's not hard. You guys aren't hard to debate.
If what you're saying is true, there would have to be times where you could pick up the signal from more than one location. But that's not the case. There's never, ever a time where you can pick up the signal from more than one location in the sky. That's what debunks your argument. It wouldn't be possible to do what you're saying unless you could pick up the signal from multiple locations, because you would need to have multiple locations for the signal source.
You just admitted you don't know the locations. You just know the general direction. You just admitted that. What a clown.
You may not know the exact location. You may not know the exact location of the object, but that doesn't mean that there would be more than one, right?
You can't debate me, dude. How long is it going to take you to realize this?
Wait,
well, you don't have an
Jake,
explanation.
You've got
here.
a satellite detector, Jake. Use it.
No, there's no way you can win this
Your
argument.
goddamn dish has got to be like within a degree of the fucking satellite.
Okay, and the degree varied with the altitude. The degree varies with the altitude. The degree varies with the altitude.
No, not for the
much.
surface of the Earth. Not very much.
Yes, it does.
The latitude, right?
No.
The altitude.
No, the altitude makes almost no difference.
Right. Latitude
makes almost no difference.
The altitude of the dish. The altitude of the dish makes almost no difference.
Mm-hmm. It's
the difference is the latitude. The latitude that you're at, and how far you are from the meridian where the dish is, that's what's going to determine its location.
Oh, so something thousands of miles up wouldn't have a different angle than something just like a dozen miles up?
No, it does not.
That's not analogous.
Thousands of miles up.
The problem is we're not talking about one. We're not talking about one dish at one location. We're talking about all the dishes dispersed across the entire, area that satellite is serving. They're all pointing at one specific spot, and when you line those lines up, it all lines up to one source on the globe Earth. But on the flat Earth,
you just said you didn't know where that was.
It would require thousands of independent radio sources, or millions, or it would require
Can I just say something just for a minute, please?
Sure, go ahead and interrupt me.
This is my field of expertise, after all. So, the satellites, the geostationary satellites, all the dishes, their latitude is the angle at which they determine the angle at which you face it to the satellite.
Yeah. We just discussed that, bud.
It's the latitude that determines the angle. Because the geostationary satellites are all above the equator.
Hey, the altitude matters too, Mr. Professor. You actually teach children? It's disgusting.
The geostationary satellites are all at the same altitude. Otherwise, they would not work.
So you agree you need to know the altitude to make this claim?
He's talking about the
You have
altitude
to
of the
have
dish.
The altitude
Bill.
to a
The altitude of the
geostationary
dish,
satellite
not the
is 36,000
satellite,
kilometers.
Bill.
The altitude to a geostationary satellite is 36,000 kilometers. Okay, it has to be that.
Thank you for at least somebody that's like actually has a profession in this, so they can't lie as much as you guys do. Had to come in here to show you how incredibly stupid your claim is. So the truth of the matter is, you can't verify the altitude, the angle change relative to the altitude. You have to presuppose the altitude. And then your entire argument is dependent upon the location. I guess I'm just gonna have to leave, because I'm not gonna keep doing this.
It is the most important thing in inserting a satellite into orbit. The most important critical thing that you can do is to get the distance correct. That distance is everything in relation to how fast that satellite will go around.
So Professor Phil, if the distance is wrong, then your whole point's wrong.
Can't you just shut up for a second till I finish?
How'd you figure out the distance?
Just wait. So that satellite's got to be exactly in the right position. Otherwise, it will not track the Earth the way the period of the Earth around. It's got to go around 24 hours, just like the Earth does, in exactly the same amount of time. So the period's got to be right. This follows Kepler's laws, which is r cubed over t squared. It's got to be perfect. If it's not perfect, the satellite will drift. If the satellite drifts, everybody with a dish will complain because nobody goes up on their roof and adjusts the dish.
Oh, man. Okay, so
it's a
line up your
PhD job looking after this.
Line up your PhDs, and I'll just knock them down like bolt pens.
I think what you're
it's my turn. 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 It's my turn.
It's irrelevant.
So you line up your PhDs. You try to combat me.
We heard that. We heard that. WITSIT. Move on. Say something of substance.
Funny that I'm so dumb that I just dominate 5 PhDs in a row.
You are fucking dumb for thinking you're dominating, you ignorant fuck.
Yeah, so the only way that you can even make this claim is actually requires the location of the satellite that's sending the signal, because you're invoking angles. So in order to get an angle, I'm not going to keep getting interrupted, dude.
You were wrong, WITSIT. We do not presuppose the altitude
you're
of the
interrupting.
satellite.
It's not a free-for-all where everyone could just talk at the same time. You have to wait till people finish, and then obviously they can make your point, you make their point.
You can confirm the altitude.
Yeah, so let him make his point, and then
that's
you
what
can
we're
make
telling
your point. That's how
with
it's
all
gonna
of the
be.
various dishes
Can't
spread
just,
out from
have
various
the,
locations.
You can't lead by example
can
here.
confirm the
If moderators
altitude.
are just talking over everybody and not allowing everyone to speak.
Do you understand that, WITSIT? You were wrong.
That's not understood. He's having a discussion. He's rebuttaling someone. He's not supposed to have 5, 6, 7
Shut
people
up, Chemo.
asking
Do you
him
understand
different
that you were
questions,
wrong,
trying to
WITSIT?
confuse him. So let's get one question at a time and let him finish his point.
It's a diaper ointment, Chemo.
Herb, you're strangling the conversation.
From that signal, how far it is.
Oh my God, Phil, it's not your turn to talk now. Okay, so what objectively is going on is you're invoking angles. Okay, geometry requires an actual location, so you need the actual location of what you're making the angle.
Angles to range of something.
Wow, bro. Wow.
All right,
Okay,
let's let him make an actual or attempt to make a clear, cogent point.
They actually,
Try to let him finish a sentence. How about that?
your entire argument is literally dependent upon the angles. He said the angles are impossible on a flat Earth. Okay, so to get an angle, you have to have the actual location of what you're receiving the signal from. Okay, this is supposedly a satellite, 36,000 kilometers up. So in order to actually validate this, you would need to know where you're receiving your signal from. So I asked you, how do you validate where you receive your signal from? And then Jake said, oh, yeah, that doesn't matter. In addition to that, how do you validate the altitude? How do you validate the altitude?
It's been explained to you, you thick cunt. Pay attention.
No one can answer.
Take it. I am answering you right now as you say no. Can you not hear me, WITSIT?
Unfortunately, I can, yeah.
Okay, then why are you lying and saying no one can answer it as I'm in the middle of fucking answering it again?
Just screaming like a lunatic.
Stop crying, answer
It's not a conversation.
Just answer it.
Chemo and SE have no place answering for WITSIT.
We all know, Curve, that at the end of this, you're going to get dismantled. So how do you validate the altitude?
I've already told you by the angles, and you corroborate all of the different angles from various locations, just say across the United States, the pointing angle of the dish from each location, and you look at where they converge.
Okay, but pointing the dish and then getting an angle doesn't validate where you're actually receiving the signal from.
Yes.
We can also use what's called the... Hold on 1 second, Kev. We can also use the time delay of the send and receipt of a signal. So that's
exactly the time delay. Thank you.
So
Finally, we got there.
Satellite. Sorry, I haven't finished with it. 1 second. So I used to do that personally when I was working on oil rigs to validate that I'm on the right satellite, and part of those metrics in the handshake was the distance to that, or the time delay to that satellite.
Thank you. Thank you. That's the honest answer. Yes.
How far away it is. We can then also use exactly the triangulation method that Curve talked about as well, and that's another validation.
It's actually trilateration. WITSIT, you know that trilateration is how the FCC finds violators.
Are you guys just gonna keep on spamming me and thinking that it makes the Earth a ball? That's the best you got. I thought you had PhDs. I thought I dropped out of college and was dumb. Why do 5 PhDs have to dogpile me and interrupt me? Because you can't debate me. Okay. So So and it's funny because the guy without the PhD is the only one that could actually say the honest answer, which is that it's the duration of the time it takes the signal to get back. This is how you validate the altitude. Okay, so this is objectively how you validate the altitude according to your religion.
We can also use that to validate the triangulation method.
You have to have this first.
So we could do that. So we could actually take those triangulation points, and then we could say, hey, using these 3 points, can we also establish the distance? And then we compare the 2 answers, and we can then judge how accurate it is. Is that not also fair, reasonable, and objective?
No, it's not, because whenever you get the angles, when you get the angles from the dish, right, you don't actually know where you're receiving the signal from. You have to assume it.
But
you have to assume
are you claiming that the dish can receive a signal from a location
it's
that's
going to happen every time? I guess I'm just gonna leave because you guys have to interrupt me every time. Every single time. You guys are like children.
But you're saying something. They were complaining that only you and Curved weren't talking, and they were complaining of me and Chemo. Now 3 guys came in to save Curved.
Yeah, it's like someone took your little toy ball away, and you're throwing a fit. So the only way that you can validate the altitude is the duration it times takes the signal to get back. Okay, so that's objectively the answer. So let's talk about that then. That's
objectively false. You said the only way, and it's not even primary way.
How else do you validate?
Hey, Ed, listen. I'll tell you right now. Using the time from what? Shut up. Using the time from one location is only going to give you a distance from that location, not an altitude or where it exactly is. Just a distance from it.
Yeah. Okay. And if you know the distance and the angle, that's how you get the altitude curve. I get it. You're remedial. So anyway,
whoa. No, you're not going to call me remedial because you just agreed with what I've been trying to get through your thick fucking skull.
No, you're just trying to pretend that I don't understand.
You just fucking agreed with me and tried to own it.
You're not understanding, dude. Whenever you say that...
you're not understanding.
Oh my God, every time.
You understand that there's triangulation and trilateration, right? The time delay method...
You understand that I'm not going to sit here and let you guys spam me with diversions attempts. We're going to go back to what I tried to bring up 5 minutes ago.
I'm not going to sit here and get spammed by you and lied about by you.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.
Don't leave.
Fuck you.
Yeah, welcome back, Kurt.
Yeah, he runs away.
Run off a flat earther. Bravo.
No, he runs away because he can't answer the job.
You vagina face bitch.
Great job, Curve. Run off another flat earther, why don't you?
Yeah.
He runs off whenever he gets cornered and he can't answer the problem.
Well,
and that's why he runs away.
He was trying to Emo, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, well done.
It's another failure of flat Earth to explain its position. And when facts are put in front of them, you've got to dodge, duck, and dive to try and get away from them. And that's all he was doing. And when I brought up the time delay reflectometry process, he said, oh yeah, that's how you can do it. Now, Curved was bang on the money. That gives me DTT, or distance to target. It does not give me the altitude. The altitude was something I'd have to calculate because it's not directly fucking above me, unless I was at the equator. So, he is bang on the money. None of us live at the equator as far as I know in this room. So, Kurt was on point. Phil was on point. I think I just made it a bit simpler for WITSIT to sort of digest. He agreed, yes, that's how you'd establish a range to target. Yeah, which he agreed with. And then when challenged on the point where then Curved is saying, hey, and